listening to the WrestleHavoc Podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky DeReyes. This is the WrestleHavoc Podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky DeReyes right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from July 26, 2023. The road to Allin at Wembley Stadium officially begins, but it officially begins with no matches announced on the show. Overall thoughts on this week's Dynamite. I thought this week's Dynamite wasn't really special. I'm going to be 100% brutally honest with you guys. I didn't really feel this episode of Dynamite. Not to say that this show was bad, because this show was not bad whatsoever. It's just one of those weeks where nothing really of importance happened on this show. We had no follow-up from Blood and Guts from the Elite side of things, which, honestly, in my opinion, I don't know why. We had the Blackpool Combat Club on this show. From what it looks like, Jon Moxley is going to be going after Orange Cassidy after attacking him, and it looks like he's going to be targeting the International Championship. We had Orange Cassidy versus AR Fox, in which we had AR Fox turn heel. We had Pac versus Gravity. We had a pre-taped interview with MJF and Adam Cole, which was a great promo. But again, it was a promo that was not aired from last week. It was filmed last week, but they were not on the actual show, which honestly, I do not know why. Of course, this is building up to the 200th episode of AEW Dynamite, which is next week. But also, we have AEW Collision this coming Saturday, which is going to be a big show. Of course, we got two major matches happening on the show. We got Buddy Matthews versus Andrade El Idolo for the mask, in a ladder match for the mask of Andrade El Idolo. Plus, of course, we have the main event as FTR defend their AEW Tag Team Championships against the bromance, the unusual bromance of Adam Cole and MJF, of course, the winners of the Blind Eliminator Tournament. It's going to be a very newsworthy episode of AEW Collision. If anything, Collision is going to top Dynamite, because honestly, this show offered nothing of importance, and it goes back to what I said on episode 23 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast. Clearly, Collision is the better show. It's not only showing that creatively, but it's actually showing that in ticket sales. If anything, in Hartford, Connecticut, this Saturday for AEW Collision tickets are selling much faster, and it's damn near a sellout for that show. And honestly, that basically sums it up. I mean, Collision is new, but also, like, Collision is just clearly the better show. Not to say that, again, this show was not bad. It's just, again, offered nothing of importance. But there were some issues on this show. Before we get on to all this craziness regarding AEW Dynamite, of course, I want you guys to make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc Podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And, as the friggin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Of course, if you guys had missed it, the Monday Night Raw review is up on the channel. I talk about Seth Rollins and Finn Balor signing the contract for their match at SummerSlam at Ford Field in Detroit. It's going to be a great match. The ending of the show is actually very good. Raw was not the best show. If you compare it to last week was actually a pretty good show. I definitely enjoyed it for what it was. This week, not so much. But I will say Judgment Day was all over this show. And if there's one thing that WWE is doing very right, it's the direction of Judgment Day. Judgment Day is definitely on the verge of becoming one of the top factions in WWE right now. And Judgment Day was heavily showcased on this Raw show, as they should be. So if you guys haven't checked out the Raw review, the link will be in the description below. But also, of course, episode 23 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast is up on the channel. We talk about plans or no plans for Mr. L.A. Knight. That's not an insult. That is just a fact of life. Yeah. Which one is it? We talk about the plans of L.A. Knight. Of course, we talk about the upcoming Cody Rhodes documentary, which I'm definitely going to be covering. I'm going to be reviewing that because it is going to be a very newsworthy documentary. There's going to be a lot of takes, a lot of agreements, a lot of disagreements when it comes to that Cody Rhodes documentary once it drops on Peacock. So, yeah, I talk about the upcoming documentary and much more on episode 23 of the WrestleHavoc Podcast. So if you guys want to listen to that video or watch the video, of course, the link will also be in the description below. All right. The show kicks off. Dynamite kicks off with Orange Cassidy. How many fucking weeks has Orange Cassidy kicked off Dynamite? Oh my God. There's been a lot of fucking weeks where Orange Cassidy has kicked off Dynamite. Look, I know Orange Cassidy is great, and I like what they're doing with the International Championship, but for fuck's sakes, man. It started to get a little bit repetitive. Now, it's not a case where it's every freaking week where they open Dynamite with Orange Cassidy. But it's coming more and more and more clear, like, every maybe 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks, the show would kick off with Orange Cassidy. It's starting to become a common occurrence on the show. Orange Cassidy defends his International Championship against A.R. Fox, a match in which you already know Orange Cassidy is going to be retaining his International Championship. But before they actually had the match, there was actually a video of Darby Allin basically talking about A.R. Fox, who A.R. Fox is, and basically the story of the connection that he and Darby Allin have. Apparently, of course, when Darby Allin was homeless, A.R. Fox actually, let Darby Allin live with him rent-free, which is actually great to see. And it was a very well-produced video package, for A.R. Fox in particular, who's going to be wrestling Orange Cassidy in this match, but also it was a very babyface type of video package. And the reason why I say very, very, very baby-faced video package is not really for the video package itself. It's for what happened after the Orange Cassidy and A.R. Fox match, which I will be going through after I go through the whole match. But, of course, A.R. Fox offers a handshake. Orange Cassidy goes for the handshake. Both lock up. Orange almost puts his hands in his pockets. Typical Orange Cassidy. We get a waist lock by A.R. Fox. Orange then ends up playing mind games with A.R. Fox, as he always does in all of his matches. We get a side headlock by Orange Cassidy, followed by the body scissors by A.R. Fox. A lot of technical, but also just really good maneuvers in this match. I feel like fucking Vince McMahon, and what a maneuver. Orange gets his hands in his pockets. Orange gets up on his feet. We get an arm drag by Orange, but then A.R. Fox lands on his feet after the arm drag. After all, we got a roll up. After that, we get a near fall. Fox escapes the Orange punch, so we get a bunch of back and forth in this match. We get an enziguri by A.R. Fox. Both men roll through. Fox goes for the cutter, but then Orange Cassidy goes to the outside, and at this point, he is walking around the ring. A.R. Fox goes for a shooting star press off the apron, and he tries to go for a 450, but he ends up missing. After that, he goes for the roll-through, and then Cassidy counters into the Stunt Dog Millionaire. And then he counters into a DDT, that being A.R. Fox. Fox then boots him, and then he ends up hitting the stunner. Fox then counters the DDT with a twisting brainbuster, which looked absolutely phenomenal. We got a cover into near fall by A.R. Fox. Once we're back from commercial break, both men boot one another down, and then they both counter each other's cutters and a stunner. And we get a double neck breaker by both A.R. Fox and Orange Cassidy. After that, we got a back elbow by Cassidy, but then Cassidy gets taken to the apron. Orange then sends A.R. Fox face first repeatedly on both turnbuckles. Fox ends up going for the senton, and then he misses the somersault on the outside. He then goes to the top, and then he misses the senton off the top. We get a cover and a near fall. He tries to go for the pin, but later on, Cassidy goes for the tope. After that, we get a tornado DDT by Cassidy, and then he takes Fox and hits the beach break. We get a cover and a kick out. Orange then takes off the elbow pad, and then Orange gets taken to the top, but then Orange goes for repeated right hands. Then A.R. Fox tries to go for the low main pain, which he struggled to hit it beforehand, but he ends up hitting the low main pain. After that, we get a cover by Fox and a near fall. Fox goes to the top, and then he's on the apron, but then he rolls through the apron and hits a senton, which was one of my favorite spots in the entire match. He basically rolls through on the apron and hits the senton. Of course, the apron, I don't know if you guys are aware, is the hardest part of the ring. Then he hits a DDT on Orange Cassidy. We get a cover by Fox and a near fall. Fox goes to the top. He tries to go for the 450 once again, but once again, he misses. Cassidy then goes for the crucifix pin, and then we get a near fall. Fox then tries to stall Cassidy, but he ends up getting caught. Then Orange Cassidy goes for the mousetrap pin, which is a pinfall that he's been using in a lot of his recent matches to basically escape his opponents and retain the International Championship. So they've been using that pin attempt for a while now with Orange Cassidy in his recent matches. So Orange Cassidy wins, and he retains the International Championship. After the match, Orange Cassidy offers a handshake, but instead he gives A.R. Fox glasses. He gives him glasses, and Orange Cassidy has glasses of his own, of course, and he does the typical, good job. And what happens is in the background, A.R. Fox has those glasses. He takes it off and just fucking rips those glasses. As soon as he rips those glasses, you already know his real intentions. And what happens is he ends up hitting a right hand, basically turning heel. And what happens is Darby Allin comes out, and Darby Allin is pissed. He is pissed, and he just screams at AR Fox, "What the hell was that? Take the loss like a man. Bro, I put my name for you, blah, blah, blah. Bro, what the hell is wrong with you?" And that was that segment. Overall thoughts on this particular match. It was a great match to open up Dynamite. Orange Cassidy never disappoints when it comes to his matches. He's always phenomenal. He's been holding on to that international title for a long period of time. It's already the end of July. It's about to be August. And, Orange Cassidy is becoming one of the longest reigning champions in AEW's history, not being, of course, the world champion. But nonetheless, going into this match, you kind of knew that AR Fox was not going to be winning this match. Any wrestler that Orange Cassidy wrestles that opens up Dynamite that is not really a credible, I don't want to say a credible challenger, but not a credible opponent to beat Orange Cassidy, you already know Orange Cassidy is going to be retaining the title. But also, what's weird about this is AR Fox turning heel. I'm very mixed about this decision because we're finally doing something with AR Fox. Really, AR Fox hasn't really been doing a lot. He's been wrestling a couple of matches on ROH. I believe he did wrestle Claudio for the ROH title in the first episode of ROH on Honor Club earlier this year. But really, AR Fox, he's been having nothing but great matches. But there needs to be some sort of direction for him. I didn't really get the heel turn because, again, you aired a video package of Darby Allin basically explaining their story. And, it was more of a babyface type of story, and then all of a sudden he turned his heel. So really, what was the point of that? And then later on in the show, we end up finding out that he joins the Mogul Embassy, which, if you think about it, when it comes to the Mogul Embassy, it's a great member to have on your group. But, again, what are you going to be doing with the Mogul Embassy? Because last I checked, the Mogul Embassy is not really a group that I could give a shit about. As soon as Swerve merged the Mogul affiliates with the fucking Embassy of all factions, I'm just like, okay, yeah, who cares? But it is what it is. Honestly, I'm not really invested in this, to be quite honest with you. I could care less of AR Fox turning heel and him joining the Mogul Embassy, but it is what it is. We'll see where it goes, but as of right now, I'm just not really that interested. Meanwhile, immediately after AR Fox turns heel, Moxley comes out, and he attacks Orange Cassidy, and he ends up hitting the Death Rider. Yes, he hits the Death Rider, pretty much signaling or targeting the International Championship on Orange Cassidy. Could that be the case? We do not know. But, for my money, I definitely would book a Jon Moxley versus Orange Cassidy match. Renee Paquette is backstage with Chris Jericho and Don Callis. Of course, the outpouring of interest of the potential of Chris Jericho joining the Don Callis family has been really high, says Don Callis. He arranged a tag team match with, of course, Jericho and Takeshita together for one tag team match, just one tag team match. And Jericho says, Takeshita's amazing. It'd be great. And, he says he's willing to give it a try. And he finds out his opponents. And Don Callis says his opponents are Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara, members of the JAS. And Jericho is questioning that. But Don mentions that, hey, you wanted them to spread their wings. And Jericho's like, I guess you're right. And Jericho accepts. And, of course, Don Callis is like, to commemorate this next step, I have a painting of Chris Jericho and Don Callis with, of course, Bad News. And I think it was Bad News Allin. And what happens is Jericho's like, I don't know if I can take this with me. And Don Callis is like, it's all right. I got it all figured out. I know a place. So very interesting developments when it comes to Chris Jericho and Don Callis. Could Chris Jericho join the Don Callis family? I honestly assume that he will. Again, the JAS has just run its course. There's no point of the JAS anymore. Like, at this point, the JAS, it worked in the beginning, but within a year, it just fell off a cliff. So, honestly, I'm not mad at the Jericho Appreciation Society splitting up. If anything, it's a positive. And when it comes to Chris Jericho standards, I'm definitely down for it. But when it comes to the Don Callis family, do I think Jericho's going to join? I genuinely believe he's definitely going to be joining. We get a video package of Hook at the subway or a train station, whatever. And he has the FTW title with him, which is very weird because he lost the FTW title to Jack Perry last week at Blood and Guts. And what happens is the train passes by and he has no FTW championship. And the train passes by again, he disappears, and it shows the Hook logo. I don't give a shit what anybody says, man. These video packages are so well produced. They're so simple, but what people need to understand is simple is more effective. And when it comes to these Hook video packages, bro, keep on doing them. Keep on airing those video packages, showcasing Hook. Have them be the most simplest fucking video packages you could possibly do. Because, of course, as Tony Soprano would say, Hook is the strong silent type. He is the strong silent type. And this dude, he's more of an action type of person than a talking person. And just showcase Hook like that. So, yeah, I liked that. We got Claudio in the Blackpool Combat Club. He talks about, how they shouldn't mess with the Blackpool Combat Club. And, he talks about how Pac couldn't take the fight like a man. And then, of course, Moxley comes in and says, that's what happens when you flex with his friends. You better stay in your lane. You're playing with explosives, and y'all are playing with Pac's mistakes. After that, we got a Jack Perry segment. Yes, the new FTW champion, Jack Perry. Look, I know a lot of people are liking the heel run of Jack Perry, and I have stated before, he's getting a little more comfortable with, his character change. But this segment, man, I don't know what happened, but there was something off about this segment. And I'll tell you why after this, I go through this segment. So, of course, Jack Perry is wearing a shirt that says, I beat Hook. And, of course, the fans are booing Jack Perry. And he says, are you damn right I beat Hook? After one loss, he can't hang with the big boys. Which is very weird because you're on Dynamite. And last I checked, Dax calls, of course, Collision where the big boys play, which is a little nod to Nitro. Dynamite ain't where the big boys play. After one loss, he can't take it with the big boys, or he can't hang with the big boys. He got in a train to nowhere. You know what? When he said he's going to win himself a championship, he sure as hell wasn't talking about this FTW championship. This championship was created in a second-class company full of scumbags like all of you. Of course, he is mentioning ECW. This title has never been recognized by any organization, and as soon as he put his hands on it, it became, a title worth it, basically. And he talks about how he's the greatest wrestler to get in 100 feet of this title. And Taz talks about how he would run through all of his friends. So he targets Taz, and he'd run through all of his friends. And he's basically just taking shots left and right at ECW. And what happens is Jerry Lynn, yes, the former ECW World Heavyweight Champion. I believe he won the title in, I think it was 1999 or 2000. Of course, we all know Jerry Lynn for his legendary matches against RVD and ECW. But Jerry Lynn retired like over 10 years ago. Talks about how it reminds him that in ECW, we all paved the way for this younger generation. And we get a bunch of ECW chants by the crowd. Without ECW, there would have never been a Jungle Boy Jack Perry. So go ahead and run that mouth or you will get your ass kicked, says Mr. Jerry Lynn. And then Jack questions that. Jerry Lynn then drops the mic, and then Jack says they will do it on his time. Next week, he comes out in this ring, and we'll see who gets their ass kicked. So where are they headed when it comes to this storyline with Jack Perry? They're clearly going somewhere ECW related. Now, are they going to have a match with Jerry Lynn? Are they going to book a match with Jerry Lynn and Jack Perry? I fucking doubt it. Jerry Lynn is way past his prime. He's retired. He's been retired for a long period of time. I don't think they're going to make Jerry Lynn go out of retirement. I've seen a lot of names thrown, like Sabu. Sabu made an appearance on AEW TV, but his last appearance and his only appearance in AEW was not really that good. It was during the Chris Jericho and Adam Cole match, which was one of the most random fucking appearances you could possibly see. So, honestly, when it comes to Sabu, forget that, And not only that, Sabu, he shouldn't be in the fucking ring. He should not be in the fucking ring. Tommy Dreamer, he's still kind of active if you really think about it. The biggest one that makes total sense when it comes to an ECW guy wrestling Jack Perry is Bully Ray. Bully Ray's doing a lot of things in Impact Wrestling right now, and there's no partnership right now when it comes to AEW and Impact Wrestling, but I would assume that Bully Ray could have a one-off appearance on AEW TV and wrestle Jack Perry in some sort of match. We have no idea, but they're clearly doing something regarding ECW because we all know Tony Khan loves ECW. He's a big fan of ECW, which, I mean, a lot of people are. And ECW, if you really think about it, definitely has paved the way for a lot of the shit that you see today. And, you know, a lot of that, you know, people say ECW is responsible for the Attitude Era, which is very much true. But when it comes to this whole ECW thing, I'm a little intrigued, but the segment itself, when it comes to the segment itself, I did not enjoy this segment. And a large portion of that has to do with Jack Perry. Now, I've stated previously that he's been getting comfortable with his promo skills and his new character. I think he's way more comfortable as a heel, in my opinion, because as a babyface, the promos that he cut, unfortunately, were fucking atrocious. But my biggest problem when it came to the segment was the way Jack Perry spoke on the microphone. It was like, it felt like he was pausing within 2 seconds or 3 seconds within each line that he was saying. And that really just turned me off of the entire segment. The crowd, in my opinion, was not really invested besides the ECW chants. Really, if you think about it, it was kind of one of those segments in which you were like, I don't really give a shit. And that was the biggest problem that I had with this segment. Look, maybe the payoff is going to be great, but I wasn't really invested in this fucking segment whatsoever. Nothing at all, in my opinion. I think Jack Perry is great, but, you know, when it comes to this whole promo segment, forget about it. It was just not that good at all. And it left a bad taste in my mouth. Not because of the ECW stuff. I don't know. Something about this it just didn't feel right. The promo itself didn't feel right. And I feel like, you know, Jack Perry didn't really sell his FTW title win as well as he should have. That's my opinion, at least. All right. Later on, we got Britt Baker backstage. She thanks Taya Valkyrie, and she's excited for Taya Valkyrie, but you want to swim with the sharks, she will drag her ass in the deep end, and she talks about how TBS is still the Britt show. Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about this Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie match, because I have a lot of shit to get off my chest. Then we got Pac versus Gravity. They booked this match this past Friday at Death Before Dishonor because Gravity was wrestling Commander. AEW is loving their luchadors, which you gotta love. I mean, they recently re-signed Roosh, which they fucking should have, because if you had lost Roosh, that'd be ridiculous in my opinion. But they re-signed Roosh. AEW has done a great job for that throughout the past couple of months, showcasing a lot of luchadors like El Hijo del Vikingo, Commander, Drilistico, now Gravity, of course, Bandito. A lot of luchadors, and of course they also got the Lucha Brothers since they've been there since day one. But what are my thoughts on this match? I thought the Gravity and Commander match was great. This match, not so much. I wasn't really that big of a fan of this match. Not to say both men did a poor job. It's just, I don't know, for me, I just didn't really care a lot about this match. Really, it gives you the whole sense of this entire episode. I mean, this entire episode, I just did not give a shit at all. We get a dropkick by Gravity. He hits another dropkick. Pac then takes him to the apron, but then Gravity ends up going for a springboard. We then get a right elbow by Pac, and then he hits another dropkick. At this point, Pac is on the outside. Pac comes back into the ring, but then Gravity is on the outside. After that, Pac chases Gravity, but then Pac ends up hitting a dropkick. And then he gets sent to the barricade, but then he runs into a power slam by Pac. After that, Gravity runs into he goes onto the apron upside down and falls on the floor. Once we're back from commercial break, Pac is in control. Pac then shoves the face of Gravity into the corner, but then he runs into a boot. Gravity then goes for a high crossbow. I think that's what it's called. We get a cover end to near fall. We then get a series of spinning kicks by Pac, and then he hits a running kick on the side of the head of Gravity. He goes to the top, and then he hits an avalanche brainbuster. After that, he applies the brutalizer. Pac wins the match, and what happens after the match is Pac is not letting go of the brutalizer. Wow. So yeah, that was Pac versus Gravity. Moving on, Adam Cole and MJF. Yes, Adam Cole and MJF, the hottest thing in AEW right now. They are so fucking over with the audience. Now, what's weird about this was they advertised that we will hear from Adam Cole and MJF. We technically did, and we technically didn't. They shot this segment last week, and this did not air on the Blood and Guts show, but they aired this interview last week, so this was something new. That I have a problem with because I thought we were going to get both Adam Cole and MJF actually on this show. We technically did with the video package, but in reality, we didn't really get them on this particular show. And if you attended Dynamite, you'd probably end up being pissed because I'm like, bro, they didn't fucking come out. But nonetheless, we definitely found out a lot of stuff. So, of course, MJF and Adam Cole, they cut their promos. MJF is one hilarious son of a bitch. This guy mocks Dax Harwood. He's like, I'm so sick and tired of hearing the same shit over and over. I love my family. I love my wife. I love my daughter. I love this business. That's my little Dax Harwood impression. That was fucking hilarious. I laughed my ass off. Adam, of course, MJF is like, look, you know, you guys we're going to fucking drag y'all asses in the mud, and we're going to kick your asses, and we're going to beat you guys for the AEW Tag Team titles because we're better than you, baby. And then MJF, you know what he does? He was like, you know what, man? You know, after last week, I kind of overreacted. And Adam Cole's like, bro, I was just giving it to you. I was just giving the title to you. And MJF is like, you know what? Since you're one of my best friends now, I'm going to give you an AEW world title shot. And Adam Cole's like, what? You're going to get me a title shot? So from what it looks like, MJF is being a nice son of a bitch, and he's going to give him a title shot, which is very rarely for MJF to do. He rarely defends that AEW World Championship. At this point, when it comes to the chemistry of MJF and Adam Cole, if you think about it, the AEW World title, as of right now, is kind of left in the back burner. But that is not to say it's going to serve a purpose later on in the story. But, of course, Adam Cole basically, if you think about it, kind of accepts, and Roderick Strong comes in. And he comes in with his fucking neck brace and all, and he's just so pissed off. He's angry. He threatens MJF, and MJF is like, you're lucky I'm friends with Adam Cole. And then Adam Cole kind of like knocks in some sense into Roderick Strong and says like, bro, you're one of my best friends too. It's not worth it, please. MJF is actually not that bad of a guy. And, you know, Roderick Strong is like, bro, this is not a good idea. You're seeing through the bullshit. What are my thoughts on this? This was great. I loved it. Again, a little nitpick, but they were not actually on the show. They filmed this promo last week, but they sold me on the MJF Dax Harwood impression. That shit was fucking hilarious. But nonetheless, who's going to win this Saturday, man? Again, this Saturday is going to be a very, very, very newsworthy show regarding Collision because we got the tag team title match. Could we see a scenario of MJF and Adam Cole winning the AEW tag team titles? Could we be seeing MJF turn on Adam Cole? Or, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, MJF turning about Adam Cole, but a lot of other people have been also saying or asking, what if it's not MJF? What if MJF is not the one to turn on Adam Cole and Adam Cole is the one that turns on MJF? Now, if you think about it, it kind of does make sense. Because if MJF turns on Adam Cole, if you think about it, it kind of make Adam Cole look fucking stupid. And you're trying to build Adam Cole as a top babyface. And the last thing you want is your top babyface to look fucking stupid. But what if they pull a scenario? And maybe, what if they go long-term with this? Because the crowd reactions for Adam Cole and MJF is just so high right now. The audience is invested so much in what they are doing. I think it'd be very foolish for them to have them turn on each other this early. But then again, you have Allin, and that is another issue. You have Allin. What are you going to do for MJF since he is still the AEW World Champion? Are you going to book Adam Cole and MJF for Allin? That, you know, they kind of put themselves into a corner. I mean, we're 4 weeks away from Allin. They really need to think of something quick, but it could go either way. Now, when it comes to Adam Cole possibly turning on MJF and being the guy that swings first, my best bet is if they don't want to make Adam Cole look stupid, and I'm going to take this from a WWE history playbook right here. You guys remember the build-up to Triple H and Batista back in 2005, of course, when Batista won the Royal Rumble, and this was playing out well before the Royal Rumble, before he even won the Royal Rumble. They were slowly teasing, you know, the breakaway from Batista and Triple H and the implosion of Evolution. But think about this. Remember when they were slowly doing that build-up, and they were giving you all these different teases week after week after week of Triple H basically manipulating Batista, they're saying, I'm going to give you a world title shot. But then, of course, Triple H is like, nah, I changed my mind. He moves over to SmackDown. He fucking rents a fucking bootleg JBL limo and then tries to run him over, thinking that it was JBL that actually did it, but in fact, it was actually Triple H that did it. What if they do something similar like that? And they have a scenario in which basically Adam Cole catches MJF just being a sneaky motherfucker, and he catches him in the moment. But, of course, before their segment, the crowd already knows, but MJF doesn't know. Adam Cole knows, and he sees immediately through him, and he is the one that turns on MJF, and which then you avoid Adam Cole basically not, looking stupid in the process. I don't know. But, again, this story could go either way. They could very well easily just go full-fledged with this story and not break them up immediately. Like, you can maybe have them win the tag team titles and then have them defend it at All In. Maybe you can do the turn at All In. We do not know. But it's a very, 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 very interesting development. A lot of people are pointing towards Collision, in which the turn is going to happen. It's very similar with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. I remember back in Survivor Series War Games, everybody was like, oh my God, Sami Zayn's going to get whacked in War Games. And we were all fucking fooled. If anything, they went even further with the story at War Games. And they waited all the way till the Royal Rumble. And you know what? At the end of the day, it ended up paying off. What if they do play the story out long term and it ends up paying off in the process? We're going to have to wait and see, but this is very interesting developments. I'm 100% invested to see what's going to be happening this Saturday on Collision, and it's going to be a phenomenal match at the end of the day, man. FTR, Adam Cole, and MJF are going to fucking kill it in Hartford. FTR, we got a backstage interview with FTR last week. Cash is actually excited. Of course, he says that Adam Cole will be unfortunately dragged into this, but he likes Adam Cole, but he hates MJF. He knows that he is a terrible human being. He is a generational ass kicker, but we're all generational ass kickers. Everyone that has been involved with him, including your fiance, left you. Adam, I'm sorry. I respect you, but Hartford, we have to make sure and know that MJF knows not to mess with FTR. And then, of course, Dax says, Adam Cole, we like Adam Cole. Y'all can scream about him all life, but it's real life to me. This business is real life to me. And talks about how he made fun of his accent and he watched this match and he watched them dance in the middle of the ring. And talks about how it's hilarious that he's making a mockery out of tag team wrestling. But this Saturday, it ain't going to be no dance routine. We're going to have a fight. And he says, we will beat your ass. And that's an understatement. And, of course, we will beat the living shit out of you. And if you talked about my family, of course, I'll rip your eyeballs out. Great promo by FTR. Dax and Cash never fucking miss. They're literally my favorite tag team in the fucking world. After that, we got Darby Allin versus Swerve Strickland from the Mogul Embassy. Of course, Darby Allin has not had a good night. Of course, we saw the turning of AR Fox, and Darby Allin is pissed off about that. Both lock up. We got a side headlock by Darby. Swerve picks him up. Darby goes for basically he applies a headlock. He still has it applied. Swerve tries to go for the arm drag, but then Darby counters into a side headlock. Darby goes for the arm drag, but then Darby gets taken to the apron, and both men are on the outside. Then Darby goes for the code red, and then he takes Swerve back into the ring. We get a cover engineer fall. Darby then goes for a chop onto the outside, but then Swerve gets sent to the barricade. We then get a hip attack by Darby, but then Darby leaps over the steel steps. And then Swerve goes for a running kick on the face of Darby Allin. And then once we're back from commercial break, we get a leaping flatliner by Swerve, and then he ends up hitting a suplex on Darby. And we get a cover and a near fall. Darby goes for the roll-up, and then we get a bunch of roll-up reversals by both men. And then, of course, Darby goes for the Last Supper pin, and actually, I believe he beat Swerve with that same pin attempt before. So I like that touch. Swerve kicks out, and then we get a spear by Darby on Swerve through the ropes on the outside. Both men come in the ring. Then Swerve goes back out, and then we get a cannonball tope by Darby countered into a knee by Swerve. Then he goes to the top. He goes for the Swerve stomp, and we get a cover engineer fall. Darby goes to the top, and then Swerve comes up once again. He picks up Darby. Darby counters with a stunner, and then Darby goes to the top, and then Swerve knocks him down. Swerve goes back to the top, and he picks up Darby, but he gets driven down hard onto the ring apron. But then a hooded figure comes in. A hooded figure comes in and sends Darby to the ring post. Nick Wayne, who was on the outside, of course, is holding on to Prince Nana. And Swerve drives Darby down. We get a cover, and Swerve gets the 1-2-3. And what happens is the hooded figure reveals himself, and it's none other than A.R. Fox. Nick Wayne comes in. Of course, A.R. Fox hits him with a skateboard, and it's official. A.R. Fox has joined the Mogul Embassy. I don't think this is a bad decision, but again, with a guy like A.R. Fox, with the talent that he has, with the direction that the Mogul Embassy is going regardless, do you honestly care? That's my only issue. My only issue, and this is a major issue, but this is the only issue that I have with the Mogul Embassy, is the fact that I just simply don't give a shit, unfortunately. The Embassy, I never cared about the Embassy. Unfortunately, I never really cared about Toliona, Bishop Khan. They're great. They're phenomenal, but I never really cared about them. They clearly scream Ring of Honor to you. But the Mogul Embassy, the Mogul affiliates, whatever you want to call them, nothing special to me. And that's a damn shame because I like Swerve, and I think he's a future main eventer, but I just don't like the direction that they're taking Swerve. I just really don't, man. They really need to do something with Swerve, man. Put him on TV more often, but this whole Mogul Embassy shit, I'm just done with. Renee Paquette is backstage with the Jericho Appreciation Society. Chris Jericho comes in. He brings everybody, that being, of course, Ty Mello, who is pregnant, Anna Jay, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker, and I believe that was it. And also Sammy Guevara and Daniel Garcia, I believe. But, of course, Matt Menard says, nice painting. And then Ty says, the real question is, what is going on right here, Chris? And Angelo gives him his hairbrush and says, this group means all to him, but right now he isn't sure. And then, of course, Anna Jay comes in. And when Anna Jay spoke, I'm like, what the fuck? Anna Jay speaks, right? And she's like, he's being selfish, okay? We all spent all this time appreciating him, and he doesn't think we're appreciating him? We can't give you 100%. Of all people, Anna fucking Jay says this. Think about it. And this is no disrespect to Anna Jay personally. I'm just talking about from a creative standpoint. Out of all the people in the JAS, Anna Jay was the bottom of the fucking barrel. Let's be real here. She was the bottom of the fucking barrel. She was a little entertaining, but let's be realistic here. Bro, those backstage segments where she would fucking apply the Queen Slayer on a random fucking woman in a backstage segment, she'd just scream her lungs out. That was the most cringiest shit I've ever seen in my fucking life. And the fact that they had Anna Jay, of all people, say, oh yeah, you're being selfish, and we spent all this time appreciating you, and now we can't give you 100%. Bro, if anything, instead of having Anna Jay, of all people, say this, why couldn't you have somebody like Matt Menard say this? Because Matt Menard is way more over than fucking Anna Jay, okay? But after that, all the members leave, and Matt Menard is there, and Chris says, you think this is easy for me? And then Matt is like, yeah, it seems like it is. Figure it out. So from what it looks like, the JAS is done. The JAS is done. It was a fine backstage segment, but again, when Anna Jay spoke, I'm like, really? Of all people, you had Anna Jay say all this shit. You could have had somebody like Matt Menard say this, but no, you had to have Anna Jay. The least of the priorities when it comes to the JAS. That's all I'm going to say about that. We got a video package of Billy Gunn leaving his boots in the ring this past Saturday on Collision, which they actually saw me doing the fucking no thing at the Prudential Center, so hats off to AEW. I was on TV. And then we got Britt Baker versus Taya Valkyrie. This match had a lot of backlash. And my take on this is the backlash is rightfully deserved, but it's not deserved towards the talent. It's not deserved towards Britt Baker or Taya Valkyrie. This is not their fault. Was the match a little sloppy? Yes, the match was a little sloppy. But the biggest problem right here was not the match itself. It's the problem with the women's division. The AEW women's division has a fucking problem. And you may say, oh, but it doesn't draw, enough ratings on AEW TV. Why the fuck is that? If it doesn't draw on ratings, then clearly you have to do something to fix that. Think about this. We reign on the women's division in WWE, right? And trust me, WWE is no different. But the biggest difference between WWE and AEW in regards to their women's division is at least, even if it's the worst fucking thing in the world, they showcase their women way more often than AEW. AEW now has 3 weekly shows on TV. 2 hours on Wednesday, 1 hour on Friday, which really nobody really watches, and 2 hours on Saturday. And if you think about it, on Collision this past Saturday, there was only 1 women's match. And on Dynamite, there was only 1 women's match. Now, you may say, oh, but it didn't draw a lot of ratings. Okay, I get it. Do something that can draw viewers in. You know, if anything, you know, just because the women do not fucking draw, at least fucking make a story that actually people fucking are emotionally invested in. We just have fucking Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie have a match in which we saw Britt Baker beat Taya Valkyrie. So if you think about it, we had a promo with Taya Valkyrie this past Saturday on Collision calling out Britt Baker, and you would immediately think, oh my God, this is going to be a great match. You know, it's going to elevate Taya Valkyrie. Nope, it made Taya Valkyrie look stupid. But nonetheless, man, there was a poster in the crowd saying, book the women's division better. Yes, book the women's division better. You know what's funny? Is both of the women's champions in AEW, and I'm not even counting Athena because Athena's doing great stuff, but that is overall all the way on Ring of Honor. We have the TBS champion, right? Chris Statlander, not on this show. Why? Dynamite is on TBS. Chris Statlander is your TBS champion. Why is she not on this show? That's a major question, and that's a problem. Toni Storm. Y'all remember this? Because I completely forgot. Toni Storm is your women's champion. She is your women's world champion. Where the fuck is Toni Storm? I'm waiting. Where's Toni Storm? She's not anywhere to be seen on this show. I like Toni Storm, but the work that she's been doing with the Outcast has been fucking atrocious. The Outcast has been a fucking failed experiment. Who gives a shit about the Outcasts? You may say that, and that's a valid argument. Who gives a shit about the Outcasts? But bro, Toni Storm is your women's champion. She is your women's champion. Why are you not showcasing Toni Storm heavily like you did last year? Bro, the women's division is one of the biggest issues in AEW right now. Like, it's gone to a fucking downward spiral. Nobody gives a shit about the women's division. You want to know why it's not drawing? It's because AEW doesn't put a lot of effort in the women's division. Women's division can draw if you book the shit right. That is the biggest takeaway that I want to give you, the viewer, watching this video. If you want something to draw, put the fucking effort in making the shit draw. Don't just come with the excuse of, oh, the ratings are not that high and the quarters are, low. Okay, then fucking make it work. Make it work. That's my question. There's no direction with the women's division whatsoever. The fact that we had Britt Baker, like, not only that, last week, I mean, granted, it was blood and guts, so if you think about it, it kind of did make sense for that to be the only women's match. But, bro, we had Collision last week, 1 women's match. Dynamite, 1 women's match. You can't do that shit, bro. Like, you got all these avenues, all this TV time that you can put the women and showcase them. But you're just not adding a lot of direction towards them, and that's a major fucking issue. That is a major, major, major fucking issue. What are you going to do for Allin when it comes to the women's champion, Toni Storm? Allin is like in 4 weeks. What are you going to do with that? You don't have Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter's going to be out for the rest of the fucking year, unfortunately. She was literally carrying that division on her fucking back. What are you doing? What are you doing? What's the point? You can rain on Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie all you want, and yes, the match was a little sloppy. But again, it all boils down to about how AEW used the women's division. And AEW doesn't even put the slightest of fucking effort to really just push forward the women's division. They really don't. And that's a problem. WWE, I'm not going to let WWE slide either. They have their own fucking problems. But the only difference between WWE and AEW that WWE actually has an up on is at least they actually, put them on TV more often than AEW does. AEW just puts them in one fucking segment. Granted, WWE has more hours on TV, that being by 1 hour, because now they got Collision and shit. But again, WWE, even though the stories that they tell are fucking atrocious, at least they showcase them more often on their television program than AEW does. AEW doesn't even, give the shit a fucking chance. They really don't. They really don't. And I hate to criticize AEW like this, but unfortunately, you have to be honest with what the fuck you're talking about. Because if you're not being honest, you're not being truthful with your audience. And if you guys are running a podcast anywhere, the number one thing and the number one takeaway that I want to give you guys is be truthful to your audience and be truthful about the shit that you watch. Because, again, the women's division, no direction and no effort. And it's not the talent's fault. It's creative and it's management. That's all I got to say about that. We had Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie. This was not a good match. I didn't give a shit. We got a side headlock takeover by Britt Baker. Taya counters, planning her down. Britt holds on to the side headlock. We get a second overhand chop later on. Britt tries to go for the boot. She hits it. She goes for the stomp, but Taya avoids it. She goes for the road to Valhalla. Taya goes for repeated elbow strikes once we're back from commercial break. Britt then drives her knees on Taya Valkyrie. Later on, Britt counters, applies the lockjaw, and she wins the match. This match was not really that good. I will say this, though. The match was a little sloppy, and there was one spot, I believe it was a road to Valhalla spot, where like Ty had her up, and Britt like face planted on the mat like way too fucking early. It looked horrible. It looked really bad. Absolutely terrible. Look, botches happen, but bro, that shit looked way too fucking obvious. But I don't want to crap on Britt Baker and Taya Valkyrie. Look, they worked with what they had. Shit happens, but it is what it is. Really blame AEW Creative because, again, they don't know what the fuck they're doing with the women's division. They really do not know what the fuck they're doing. We got Jon Moxley and Claudio taking on Best Friends, taking on the Lucha Brothers in a triple threat tag team match. This match was pretty good. Unfortunately, this was one of the most random main events you could possibly get on a Dynamite. Again, this whole Dynamite episode, I just didn't really give a shit at all. Like, nothing of importance happened on this show. You know, Excalibur stated in the beginning of the show, the road to Allin begins tonight. But, I mean, we technically had some build for Allin regarding the stories that we were being told, but we don't have any matches announced. We need some matches announced for Allin, bro. Allin is your biggest show of the fucking... I don't want to say the biggest show of the year, but it is the biggest show in the company's history. You really need to have that hype around it. Don't wait until like 2 weeks before the pay-per-view to announce matches. They should already have matches announced. Hopefully in Collision this Saturday, they have matches announced. But bro, announce matches, please. A brawl breaks loose everywhere. Chuck and Moxley are on the stage. Moxley gets sent out to the stage and Chuck goes for a somersault. Later on, Rey Fenix and Claudio are in the ring. Both men goes for a series of exchanges. Fenix is on the top. After that, we get a series of stomps on Claudio. Trent comes in. He hits a knee strike. Moxley. I said Max. Moxley goes for the cutter. Penta comes in. We get an uppercut by Penta on Claudio. We then get a pump-up uppercut by Claudio. We get a cover into near fall. Mox tags in. He fights off Phoenix. Then the BCC are in control. We get a series of chops by Phoenix and then a lariat by Claudio. After that, we get a thrust kick by Phoenix and then Trent tags in. He goes after Phoenix, but then we get a tornado DDT by Trent. We get a cover into near fall. Trent goes for a suplex on Claudio, but then Trent goes for the tope, but then lands into an uppercut. Moxley then tags in. He hits the lariat. We get a cover into near fall. Once we're back from break, Trent and Claudio are on the top. Trent then takes him out, and then we get a shotgun drop kick by Trent. Moxley and Chuck Taylor tag in. We get repeated chops, but then we get a series of back and forth strikes by both Chuck and Mox. We get a German suplex by Chuck, and Penta tags in. We get a sling blade. Then he goes for the second sling blade, and then we get a backstabber by Chuck Taylor. After that, we get a cover into near fall. We get a double team by the BCC, and then Phoenix goes for the double crossbody, and then we get a double thrust kick on the Lucha Brothers. And then the BCC go for the double lariat. No, it was not the double clothesline. It was the double lariat. So nobody gave a shit. I'm kidding. And then we get a cover into near fall. Everybody fights it out. Everybody fights each other off. Claudio gets taken to the outside. Best Friends go for the double spike pile driver on the Lucha Brothers. And we get a cover into near fall. The Lucha Brothers regain the advantage. And then they trap Best Friends on the submissions. And then Penta goes for the Made in Japan. And then we get a cover into near fall when the Blackpool Combat Club interferes. Mox goes for the paradigm shift on Phoenix. The powerbomb by Claudio. Later on, Orange Cassidy comes in. And then what happens is he gets hit, or I should say Orange goes for the orange punch on Yuta. He fights off Moxley. Trent counters Claudio and takes him down, but he isn't the legal man. Penta comes in. He ends up hitting the Fear Factor, and we get a cover, and the Lucha Brothers win the match. After that, the brawl continues on in the end between the Blackpool Combat Club and Best Friends. And then the Lucha Brothers enter the fray, and the show ends. Overall, this was not a bad match, but again, it was one of the most random main events you could possibly have for a Dynamite. From what it looks like, the Blackpool Combat Club is going to be feuding with Best Friends, which, yeah, it does sound like a kind of like, you know, degrade. I don't want to say degrade because that sounds bad. But, like, it kind of sounds like, from where they were in the feud against the Elite, of course, the best friends. I mean, like, that's kind of a dumb feud. But from what it looks like, they're going to be doing a one-on-one match between Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy, which I'm down for. I think that match would be absolutely phenomenal. I don't even think they wrestled before. I think they did wrestle before, but it was, like, early 2020 before the pandemic. I completely forgot. I think it was the first Dynamite of 2020. I had to go back and check. But, again, we really, I think, a feud between the BCC and the best friends is not really the best type of feud. But if it gives something for Jon Moxley to do, I mean, it's not really that bad. And also, him wrestling Orange Cassidy, I'm down for that. I think it'd be a tremendous match. Absolutely tremendous match, especially where Orange Cassidy is right now with the international title. I don't know, man. We could possibly be seeing Jon Moxley, win the international championship from Orange Cassidy, but I digress. We do not know at the end of the day. But yeah, that was my AEW Dynamite review from July 26, 2023. Overall thoughts on this show. This was not really the best episode of Dynamite, to be quite honest with you. If anything, if you're excited for something in AEW, be excited for Collision. Collision is going to be 10 times better than the shit we got on this show. Not to say that Dynamite was a bad show, because I thought it was. Look, it was not like a WWE 2021 level of atrocity that program was at the time, but it was one of those episodes of Dynamite where it just did not feel like AEW Dynamite. Usually when you feel AEW Dynamite, you feel the sense of unpredictability, shit happening left and right that is fucking, peak interest and all that stuff. You didn't really get that on this show. The only thing good on this show was the MJF and Adam Cole stuff. And they were not even on the actual show. It was basically a pre-taped backstage interview that they didn't air last week. That's all it was. This week was not really the best episode of Dynamite. If you compare it to last week's episode of AEW Dynamite, last week's episode of Dynamite blew this week's episode out of the fucking water. But no need to fear, because you can look forward for Collision, because Collision is absolutely freaking stacked. We got the Guns and we got Juice Robinson taking on El Hijo del Vikingo and Action Andretti and Darius Martin. We got Andrade taking on Buddy Matthews in a rematch and a ladder match for the Mask of Andrade. And, of course, we got the crazy pairing, I don't want to say unsurprising, but the weird pairing between Adam Cole and MJF, taking on FTR for the AEW Tag Team titles on Collision. Collision's going to be a very newsworthy show, and I'm excited for that. It's going to be 10 times better than Dynamite. Guaranteed you. But yeah, that was my Dynamite review from July 26th, 2023. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Push that bell for notifications and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc Podcast, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And, as the Virgin Referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And, as always, it is Flamin' Ricky DeRays, signing out. I'll see you guys later. Peace.